Alrighty, so we're gonna throw the tyre on. So this is a really handy skill to learn. Being able to change your tyres just makes it so much easier if you're doing a build, you want to change tyres, you want to experiment with different treads. You get punches. I've actually got in my terrain bike, I have enough, I've got a spare tube, tyre levers, CO2 canisters and a small pump just to top up the air, so that on a ride, if I get a puncture, I'm self-sufficient. I can change my wheel, change my tyre, and get going. I've got the spanners and stuff too to remove the wheel, and just a basic kit on my bike, just a basic toolbox that can get you out of trouble 9 times out of 10. So I'm gonna put this guy on. So removing the tyre isn't any different to putting it on, really. And if you can get one on, you'll be able to get it off. So I haven't got any here to take off, unfortunately, and I didn't film when I took these off before I did the thing. So make sure that you've got your rim tape in, and there's no rough bits in here, no big rusty bits that are gonna damage your tube. I've done this one, I've put some tape on it and got there. Make sure that the hole for the valve is clear, and so that you can get the tube through, because it's actually quite tricky when you get to that part, and if the hole's blocked up, it's going to make it even harder. So these are directional tyres, so most tyres you don't have to do it, but these are directional. I don't know if you can see that. This is rotation, there's an arrow, so I just put that on the ground. So the arrow's facing forwards. This is my front wheel, so I know that my brake is on the left hand side facing forwards on the Postie bike, so I can get this one in now. You can put like a soap or a water slope solution on these to help out. I might do it if these are a bit stiff to get on, but it does make a bit of a mess on the tyre and stuff, so I want to make them look nice and clean, so I won't do that just yet, but we may need to. This isn't an easy job, so I promise I won't swear. Well, I'll try not to. So I put the tyre on one side only, so I just sort of sit it in. Obviously it's not going to go all the way on, so this is the section where it hasn't gone on. I put it down flat on the ground. I use my tyre levers. Just quickly, these tyre levers I think are the better ones. Rounded ends, and they don't pinch the tyre. These ones are the square, and I find they're a bit blunter on the end, but they have a square edge, and I've pinched the tubes a few times with these. You will pinch tubes when you first start out. The more you do it, the less tubes you will go through. I always actually buy an extra tube when I'm doing a tyre change, just in case. So I've got that on one side. I'm just going to go through with this lever coming from the top. I don't know how much you can see. I'll try and turn around so you can see it a bit better. So this lower side that you can't see is on. This top side's the one that's sitting up. So I'm just going through with it like this, so the curve goes down. I'm just going over and just popping that over. Sometimes if you go too far, it won't pop over. You have to come back a little bit until you get it to do so. Other thing is, if you can hold it down, sometimes you can just keep popping around, it'll just keep moving around. If you hold this down, it'll stop it. So we're going to the next, sliding along. So I just went a little bit far then, popped it on. So I just moved it a bit, put it in the right position, and it went on fairly easy. So be patient, especially with the second step that we're about to do. after we get the tube in. Putting the other side on. Don't take too big a chunk and try and push it all on at once. Do little bits. You have more chance of pinching if you do lots of little ones. Well, probably less actually, because you're not taking that big bite and you're not forcing things and having to stick this right in. So little bits. Just take care. Make sure every time that you push this in that the tube isn't sitting underneath the lever on the rim. So try and do this quickly, but as I say, I'm not the quickest at it, as you can see by me trying to get into the tube box. Okay, so that's the tube. So what I'd actually do, and I'll have to turn the camera off and just quickly do it, is I'd put a tiny bit of air in this, just so that it takes some sort of shape. I'll do that now, and I'll show you what I mean. Alrighty, so put a little bit of air in it, just so I hold the shape, but as you can see, it's still flat. It just makes it easier, I feel, to get it in and get in the right position. You're gonna adjust it around to make sure the valve's in, so that when the valve comes through, it's not on an angle this way or this way. There's a nut on the valve that you need to take off. And yeah, you take the nut off, and then you put that back on once you get it through. There's another nut here. I've seen it done, and again, I'm not 100% sure on this. I've done it either way. I've taken the nut off, the second nut, which leaves that little washer there, and then that sits down nice and neat in the rim itself. But I've seen it done before where it's been left on and it's been fine, and the bike's ridden for thousands of kilometres with it, and there's been no issue. So if you do take the nut off, just remember the washer's there, and just make sure that it stays where you want it. You don't want to lose it halfway through and have it rattling around inside the tyre. So I'm going to take it off. I'll do it that way. I'm not sure, to be honest, 100% what the right way is, but I think this really works well. So I find where my valve is in my rim. It's there. I basically start there. I keep the valve out, just so that washer doesn't fall off. Now this takes a little while. Just be mindful that when you put in the tyre in, that you don't twist the tube and get a twist in it. It's all laying flat, and that's why I find that a little bit of air helps. Now, once you get in, try and push the tube in as much as you can out of the way. It's gonna keep coming back and annoy you, but just do as much as you can. Now, the finger crusher. I get my two fingers in there like that, and I've got to somehow get them in inside the wheel, over the rim edge, which hurts your fingers, but I haven't got there's actually a valve puller you can put through, and then you screw it on the end of the valve and pull it through. That would be cool. I don't have one. I try to do it as I say, as if I was on the side of the road. Maybe that's to get that in, but I've got it through. I've just got a little bit of the nut on it just to hold it there. Once I get everything in place, it should be easily to pull out a bit more. So now you've got that side completely on, tube in, the valve through the rim. It's time to start on this side. So I'm going to put it down, and I normally start where the valve is. because I don't like to put the tyre levers in and stuff where the valve is. I find it's a bit harder there. I try and just leave that area, so I'm just pushing the tube back. So I go around and I'm just pushing the tyre down, just with my hand for starters. You can see I've got this much on just with my hand. I'm going to go through and get as much as I can. And then what I do is I actually push it on, I'll stand on it and push it down with my foot as well. I'll do this and see how we go. I might edit that out, we'll see how we go. Okay, so I've got it by hand, that sort of point. So I've got this last bit now. As I said, the tube just keeps wanting to poke out. These heavy duty tubes are great, last longer. They're a lot harder when you're changing because they, for some reason, they want to stick out. Some of the thinner tubes are easier, they sort of just stay out of the way. But it's definitely worth the hassle because they're a lot thicker, last a lot longer, especially if you plan on doing any long riding. So I'm just going to do this bit by bit. I've stuck my hand in, got the tube out of the way. I just did a little bit. So I was saying before, don't go right in the middle. I'm just going to reef this on. You're not going to get it on, and you're going to probably do some damage to something along the way. Fingers going first, make sure the tube's out of the way. Iron goes in, lever goes in. Okay, same thing. Put on the ground because it's a bit easier to. Okay, so I've managed to get that towards the end. The tube will sit back a bit better. So now I'm just going to do little bits. Sometimes I put my knee on the other side so it doesn't flip up as I do it. Okay, so this is the critical sort of point of it. Please don't pop out. I've got to this point, so I've got most of it on. Whole way around this bit. This is where you pinch things because you can't always get in there to make sure that everything's out. But by pushing that tube in earlier, I know it's sitting pretty much out of the way. Using these levers at around the end and being gentle, we should be no dramas with that. So even with that, I'm not gonna tackle that in one hit. I'm putting my lever. It's difficult to show you. Sort of, if it goes from here to here, I'm just on this sort of first third of it or even quarter of it. Holding this side, the other side down so it doesn't pop back out. And I think I'll get that, and that's just popped in. So, that's all in now. So a little bit of personal. All right, I hope that's helped and might get someone out of trouble. Wheels are looking good. Thanks for watching the charity build for Make-A-Wish Foundation. See ya.